Did you know that the New York Times just named Minneapolis as the best city for new college students, college graduates, and not just the New York Times, every news channel in the country? I am here today on Fly the Coop with Addy Berling, our new graduate, who is the social media marketing manager, and Carter Brice, the podcast manager, and so much more. You're going to hear from Carter today and all that he is doing. And I am so proud of these two young people, 21 and age 20.
Yeah, I just turned 21. Just turned 21.
You just turned 21?
I just turned 21.
I forgot. Happy birthday, Carter.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I just thought that this was an opportunity. I am so lucky to have two young people on my team helping me. At age 55 now, I could use all the help possible, and I'm so grateful to have two college students with me, one just graduating, and I think this is an important topic. So I'm going to hand it over to Carter and Addy, and we're going to start with a congratulations, Addy, you just graduated.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
I feel good. I was definitely ready. You go into like 4 years and you think you have such like a vision of it, and then it completely changes. And so it was a really good 4 years. Learned a lot, not only in school, but a lot about myself. But I was definitely ready to get my degree and get going with life a little bit. So I'm really happy to be back and working.
We're so happy for you.
Thank you.
How long have you been with CACG now?
It's been almost 2 years.
I know. You started as an intern.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that with Carter as well, because both of you, I think, have inspirational stories in your work ethic and your commitment to building a career, and really dedication. You're both very dedicated personalities. So I want to talk a little bit about the college experience, the why behind where a college student is leaning to find their start in life, what college is like, right? And what the why is behind doing it, because both of you have pros and cons to the subject.
Yeah.
So let's start with, how did the 4 years go for you? And what did you think about your time up there? And I know you were so ready to be done. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're so ready to be working.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, for me, I joined UMD. I went to the University of Minnesota Duluth, and I graduated in 2020, so my experience in coming into the college life was a little different than normal. Mm-hmm. And so the first 2 years were kind of just figuring out how to actually live on my own with COVID, which was definitely an experience. Mm-hmm. And those were all just getting my generals done, basic kind of schooling. That's how I thought of it. Mm-hmm. But my junior and senior year, it was a lot of hands-on work, and just getting a closer perspective into what the workforce is kind of looking like now, as a marketing major as well. So given this opportunity with you was amazing, because I was not only able to see school from it, but also actually doing the work, which I think that UMD set up really well. We also are required to have an internship before we graduate. So I was very lucky to have this handed to me. But yeah, I loved it. I loved my 4 years, and I had a really good experience.
Do you have a question for her? And then I want you to pitch in on your thoughts, because you're in your second year right now.
Well, I have I have a different college experience than most people do, because of the nature of what I'm trying to do outside of college. So I don't necessarily have a ton of questions for you. Mm-hmm. But if you want me to tell my thing, I can do that.
I would love to. Mm-hmm.
So I am probably the opposite end of the spectrum as far as the college experience goes, because I did 2 years of PSEO, which is a Minnesota thing. It's sometimes offered in other places, but really it's just free college while you're in high school. And I did that for my junior and senior year in high school. So I got like half the credits that I needed completed. And then now I'm at Carlson at the University of Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And
Great school.
It's a great school, but I started my video production business while I was in high school, and that and the connections I've gained from that and the networking I've been able to do through that has been a priority time-wise and effort-wise over school for me right now. So balancing those things out has been a journey, but I'm starting to maybe figure it out. Maybe. I'm also living at home, still with my parents, trying to save as much money as I can. And so, yeah, my college experience is much less of the college experience, and it's more so I will literally drive to class, take my classes, and drive home, which there are pros and cons to doing that. So, yeah, that's where I'm currently at. So we both have different, very, very different backgrounds, but maybe similar perspectives on the college thing. So,
okay. So my question is, would either of you, or are either of you, was not living here in the Twin Cities ever in your thought process? Because we have a lot of people obviously attracted to our market. We'll talk about that a little bit. I mean, I think part of it is cost of living. Those of us from here, right, think it's super expensive. In fact, we're much more affordable. You are both young. Most of the 20 and 21-year-olds I know right now are still living at home and launching their life independently a year or two after graduation because of the cost of living. So the first question, was Minneapolis ever not on your top option in terms of future life? Were you considering, either of you, leaving the area?
I wasn't, just because of all of my people I make videos for are locally based. And so for me, one of my big things for college, if I was going to go to college, was to stay local. Funny story, I only applied to the U of M, and if I wasn't going to get accepted there, I was not going to go to college.
Oh my God.
Yep. And I applied at the application due date at midnight. And I kind of just did my application. I did not want to go to college.
No. Well, let's talk about it.
My parents told me that I should go,
Yeah.
right? Because, the video thing was my dream, and I had started a business, but it wasn't by any means something that was going to allow me to live off of. And I was still learning a bunch, but I was like, fine, I'll apply. Fine. Okay, I'll just do it. So I applied, and I got accepted literally the next morning. I got my acceptance, and I was like, dang it. But also...
yay.
Yeah, right. It's dang, this was actually a good school that, I got accepted to. That's kind of cool. But
it's a controversial subject, right? Because there's a lot of people that are questioning spending the money on college right now, especially in an AI world where things are changing right now so much, and qualifying that.
I think we've
talked about this a lot.
I think there are degrees that you need college to get. I think there are degrees that it's helpful to get, and then I think there are degrees that maybe you could just do it on your own. But who am I to say? I haven't even graduated yet. I don't have any crazy experience. It's kind of a hot take, but I think that all of the things that I have done so far in my business, I could have done without working on a business degree. And I've had nobody ever ask me for a business degree. But at the same point, here I am still going to get a degree.
To get the paper.
And keep that door open. And I've made it a point to learn as much as I can, but also not get distracted by some things that I maybe don't need to internalize.
Right. In a world now that is very, we're being inundated with a lot of opinions, right? And strong, everyone's got their own, like you said, it's a hot take. Everyone's got their own opinion, and it's a strong one. So I think as young people, what's so cool about the two of you and why I wanted to interview both Carter and Addy is they're very clear, both of you, about what you want to do with your life. You're very confident, and you have a tremendous work ethic. Quickly going back to Minneapolis, were you ever considering not going to school in Minnesota or not living in Minneapolis? Was that ever a consideration?
Yeah, so I actually applied, I think I applied to like 7 schools. Nowhere crazy far. Right around, like I was looking at Michigan, I was looking at Iowa, all around. And
Midwest.
then Midwest. And once it came down to it, like I said before, COVID was obviously in the picture, so that changed a lot for me. But when it came down to it, I just realized I need to be far enough from my parents. Love you guys, but I needed to do my thing for a little bit, but I also needed to be able to come home easily. And I realized after those 4 years at school, like I would come home all the time just for a weekend or whatever. And it was a reset for me. So I think that was a huge factor into deciding to stay in Minnesota. It's funny, my sister and my brother, they're twins, and they're starting to look at schools right now. And my sister is just like, I'm getting the heck out of here. Like just such different personalities.
Right.
And so it was perfect for me to stay here. And there was a lot of factors that played into that, obviously. But, when it comes down to it, being able to be near what I'm used to was very important to me.
So a young city that's attractive on paper because we were just nominated to be the #1 city in the country. The Minneapolis scene in terms of the social piece has been transforming since I was your age. What this restaurant scene on fire, the entertainment scene, the music scene, theater, all of that. Do you personally, at your age, feel like that's been a game changer in terms of how you're playing out these next steps in how you want to live your life and where you want to be? What's your take on that?
Well, I don't go to the city very often because I live like 30 minutes out and I really only go for school. And I kind of get my classes done and leave. So I'm not the greatest person to comment on the social scene. But I have heard that it is an absolutely wonderful place.
Maybe you should try it out.
I've dabbled a little bit. Let's say it this way. I would not call myself an authority on the topic, especially with the restaurant scene. I haven't been anywhere and I wish I'm going to go more places. Music-wise, though, the music scene is absolutely awesome here, and that is how I'm currently employed. Yeah. So I cannot.
You should drop what you're doing.
I work for a local guy. His name's Corey Wong. He's great. Look him up. But I do his video production right now.
How do you spell his name?
Corey Wong. It is exactly how it sounds. Corywong.
But if you spelt it wrong, you wouldn't find him.
You'd still probably find him.
Okay, you got to tell them, before we jumped on the podcast, you had breakfast with a dude that's from the area.
So a guy from LA just came out to do a video with me and Corey. Corey and I, apologize. And we were at this, not super nice restaurant, but like a good breakfast spot before our shoot.
He does go out to eat.
Hey, it's 1 mile from my house, so
there you go.
It was great. But it blew me away, especially with affordability of things, because I was sitting here thinking that $17 for a big-ish breakfast was a lot of money.
Exactly. He said egg and toast.
Yeah, egg toast. You get some bacon. $17. I mean, I could do that at home, right? But dude from LA, obviously, where things are a little bit more expensive, he was blown away at how cheap it was to eat here, and I was thinking it was expensive. And both of us just kind of looked at each other like, wait a minute, how different are these things? And it's crazy. The difference is crazy.
Didn't you say he thought it'd be like a couple $100?
He thought for 2 meals we'd be pushing like $100-some bucks, and it was like $40, and he was pumped. Rightfully so. I'd be pumped too if I was normally dropping $100 on a breakfast.
Well, and we do, we are spoiled, even though we think it is cost of living across the board. That's a clear and evident thing happening. Appreciation, inflation is a thing that's really happening, right? So when you're in your rabbit hole, I call it, all of us in the country, everywhere, anywhere you live, we are very rooted in what is our normal. And when you have an opportunity to spend time, the why is probably that's just the why behind the New York Times naming Minneapolis the best city for new college students is because it is affordable. It states right here that the rental costs here, even though we think they're high, and you haven't delved into ownership yet, but you both will be probably in the next year, whether you're renting or owning, it is less expensive here in Minneapolis versus LA or New York or Atlanta or wherever you might be considering. It is an attraction. This city is quite manageable. Like you can pretty much, when you're in the core of the city, get anywhere in about 15, 20 minutes. And there's just a plethora of food and fun things to do. Addy here, she loves to go out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So tell us what your take is at now 21 years old with the social scene.
Well, I will say a lot of my friends went to the U of M and are living in the city, so it's always easy to find things to do down there. I went to Wayzata High School, so that's normally where a lot of the kids from Wayzata wind up going. And so I think that we've just kind of always grown up knowing that we're going to be down there all the time. But the social scene is amazing. I mean, there's so much to do down there. Restaurants, like you said, are amazing. And even with you, I feel like we've dabbled around all the restaurants down there too, which has been super fun. The night scene's great. It's a lot of fun. You're not bored. You're never bored. But then there is also like the concerts. There's constantly people coming here. I mean, we're known for our music down here. And I mean, so much to do. The lakes are amazing. That's on the new episode of The American Dream. Check it out. I just think it's there's so much to do. And I think a lot of people underestimate Minneapolis.
I think they do too.
And every time I have family throughout all the country, and every time they come up, they're like, oh my gosh, I forgot how much we love it here. There's so much to do. Mm-hmm. And I think that is another big part on this whole article is there's so much to do. And especially with so many businesses around and in the city, it's so easy for college students to be able to see or get involved in the workforce at an earlier age. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a huge factor into why a lot of people choose Minnesota schools. And
yeah. Fortune 500 companies. We've got, I don't even know what the number is now. It's a lot. I think people don't realize how many Fortune 500 companies are actually based here in Minnesota. And yes, we can have all those dialogues around the tax laws and all that's going on right now. But as things are changing all over the country, Minneapolis is becoming a growing trend. So looping back to your goal in the next year for these young people out there that are just launching. We talked about this earlier today. What is the number one piece of advice you'd give them as it relates to targeting who they want to work for and how they delve into entering the workforce right now? We talk about this a lot, Carter. There's lots to say on this subject.
I think I'll limit myself to one main thing, and that is do not wait to get a degree to actually go talk to people that you want to work for or with, or you want to work for you, doing this video thing, Minneapolis has been so great because as a 16, 17-year-old kid, I could walk into pretty much any business and say, can I make you a video for free? And they would be pumped about that. Most people would be pumped about that. So before you're having to live on your own, pay for stuff, you're already in debt from going to school, I would recommend, doing the thing before you have to spend money to do the thing. I found a camera on Facebook Marketplace for $300, bought it, and that started my business just because $300, okay. Mm-hmm. I can make 10 free videos for 10 different companies. Right. And if 2 of those are good enough that they want to hire me back, that'll immediately pay for the investment that I already have. Mm-hmm. And then it's just that over and over and over again. And through that, I've met more people and been able to build more relationships. And now I'm lucky enough that I'm able to turn down work, and it's only been through word of mouth. The only advertising I've ever done is just by doing decent work that people enjoy, and I know, not being a loser.
Right.
But yeah, just do the thing. God. If you do the thing early
that you love,
then it makes it a lot easier. So like that's why I'm not getting a film degree.
Right.
Is because before I entered the age of needing to look at going to college, I'd learned a ton about video and learned that, for that specific field, not that I'm not dodging film school.
Right.
There are great connections that you can make. There's great people you can meet. That's where that's what a lot of the benefit of college is relationships and networking.
I totally agree.
That is something that's very valuable. Or to hold yourself accountable. That's another thing college is valuable for. I know Corey talks a lot about, he didn't necessarily need to go to music school to learn how to play the guitar, but he went to music school to solidify, I am going to play the guitar professionally, and now I have no excuse not to. Right. He needed to spend the money to force himself to prioritize that and have that be the only option.
Great.
And see, that makes sense to me. But if you're I'm going on a tangent. I can stop. But I'll finish it up with just do the thing you want to do. Know what you want to do, or try and figure out what you want to do without necessarily spending the money to think that that's the key to doing the thing.
You started working when you were what age?
I started working.
Don't start the theater, like the commercial work. He was really young.
Not that.
You're independent work, yeah.
I sold advertising space for Twin Cities Real Producers magazine.
That's right. Yeah.
For Chad Jeske, what a legend. It was a small job. It was a good foot in the door. And I think that was sometime in middle school. It might have been like 7th grade,
That's
summer after 7th grade. And then the summer after 8th grade, I worked at the orthodontist.
Oh.
Yep.
How'd that go?
It was great. All I did was just clean stuff. Yeah. But yeah, my parents, I have parents who have made it a requirement for me to be a semi-productive person. And they very much hold me accountable. And
well, there's something to that, because we would all agree here that dig on work. That's why I'm so proud of these two. Without going down another tangent, there is a work ethic issue going on, and a lot of confidence, overconfidence, acknowledging what you're great at and what you need to learn, and just having that dialogue. And when you do something, do it like 1,000%. Really do the work with sincerity and passion and drive. And I think there's a huge gap out there right now in the workforce. And I'm really hoping that young people like you can get your personal stories out to inspire. Because sometimes it's just hearing, oh, that's how you did it. Like leading by example, right? In a world that's very infiltrated with so much that you can lose your lack of clarity, your lack of focus, because you're being sidetracked. It's so easy to do.
Yeah.
And it's easy for me to do. And I'm 55 years old now. So when you're talking, Carter, about your future and your path, and we go back to the schooling piece of it, when you're amongst your peers and you're feeling like they need a piece of advice or they're coming to you, what do you share with them about, because you are unique in your very clear work ethic. What do you say to them to inspire them?
It's an interesting thing because the major I'm going for is entrepreneurial management, which is another fun thing that it's why would you go to school for entrepreneurship? Which, there's a point. There's a point to that argument, and I also agree with it. But I needed to get a degree from Carlson, and I'm not going to be a corporate finance. I'm not going to. I marketing would probably be the second one on my list.
But the degree was strategic.
The degree was strategic, not necessarily for the degree, because for me right now, I think the name Carlson School of Management is more important for what I'm going to be doing in the future than what is on the piece of paper.
Yeah.
But
agree.
The nature of the major that I've chosen is a lot of the people who've also chosen that major are in the same shoes that I am. So I've just started entering my capstone classes, my major specific classes. And I had a class with the best professor I've ever had this last semester. He's amazing. The class was amazing. Everything about it was great.
And you can't say that about all your classes.
No, I am very critical. This class was the first class I've taken that I've thought I would spend my money again on just this class and take everything else away. Just to learn the stuff I've learned, not even for the paper.
Yeah.
But all of the people in that class, they have businesses. They've been doing the thing already.
Yeah.
They know what they want to do, and they're just absolutely killing it. So I had a group project, and the people that were assigned to my group, one of them has a gigantic photography business already started. And so him and I have been able to talk and, do some work together at some point. Cool. But it's I guess I wouldn't put myself in the position to giving any of my peers the right advice, because I'm no further than they are as far as my wisdom goes. I've just done some things differently. And I think down the line, we'll see how it turns out. I'm sure some of those people are going to be extremely successful working at some gigantic company or doing their own thing. I think the only difference between me and them is that I started very early, which isn't necessarily the most common thing.
I agree.
So I starting early is my biggest thing. Is it just saves you time later. So that's it.
Lead by example. That's what I would say. That's it. Lead by example, and the way you inspire that's what you're doing. So when you follow Carter Brice and you watch his story at his young age of 21, lead by example. Same with Addy. So Addy, your mom said to you when we just signed your W-2, so you're fully employed now by CACG, what did she say to you?
A lot. Well, she said a lot, first of all, which I love. I needed it. But just planning, right? Is that what you're talking about? How she was just we gotta, set, we're gonna set some things out and we're gonna plan. And so, because, I've had jobs in the past, but this is my big girl job, and this is my first major job. And so I don't know what I'm doing. This is my first time, having a bigger income than I ever have. And so just planning and understanding what I'm doing and the work that I'm putting in and what I'm getting out of it. I think that my parents were super, they were harping on it to, understand what I'm doing and understand why and how to plan that all out. Yeah.
I think it's the why behind the work that you pick. So circling back to the why on this interview with these two today is two young people who graduating next year, just graduated, 21 years old, totally on fire and figuring out what they love doing and figuring out how to really immerse themselves in the work. Every single one of you can do that. And oh, by the way, we happen to be in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we're so proud of the city and its recent nomination as the top city for young people to move after they graduate. So happy graduation to you.
Thank you.
Thrilled to have Addy Berling on the team. She is, I have to just quickly say, from Janet Miller with Tom Ferry, our coach. Per her words, quote, unquote, literally quote, she is a gem. Addy is a gem. A quote from Nick Kozel, the director of marketing, who's very involved with advising us on all the complexities of growth on Google and YouTube, which is an ongoing thing. Definitely a big nut to crack. She is a gem. She is going to be extraordinary. She is a sponge and learns in an extraordinary way. Love working with Addy.
Thank you.
From Kevin Coulter, our sales director, loves working with Addy because of listening skill set, learn through osmosis, I say. And then, of course, Carter. I met Carter through his mother, Tammy Brice, at age 17. So I've had the honor of working with Carter since 17, now 21. Two people to follow. And absolutely think about the why, what your drive is, and do it with all your heart and go all in. And you're going to win the day. So thank you, Carter. Thank you, Addy, for joining us today. And congratulations, Minneapolis, for being on the top #1 place to live, young people. And if you have any questions, give us a call because we love selling to you. If you're buying your first home, call Carrie Ann Carter Group. We'd love to do that. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today on Fly the Coop. Don't forget to click and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can watch all of our Fly the Coop episodes, lifestyle, and listing videos. See you next time.